Okay, now a town has 16,000 dwelling units, out of which 10% is dilapidated. So your
So you can take a short break. I can explain this question.
okay.
A town has 16,000 dwelling units. So we can, in short, we can write dwelling units as DU, out of which 10% is dilapidated. Means if I heard of Jarjar Avastha, means it is non-habitable. Dilapidated means it is non-habitable. It means in 10% of the houses nobody is living. It means out of 16,000 dwelling units, only in the 90% dwelling units people are residing. Okay, and if the town needs 8,000 dwelling units more, it means there is a requirement. How it comes to 8,000 units more? It means there is more population. When the average household size is 4.5, then the population of the town is, the household size determine number of people living in a particular dwelling unit. Okay, it means there are 4.5 persons is living as an on an average is living in one dwelling unit. So how can we calculate? We can take 16,000 into 0.9, which is currently residing, plus then we can take 8,000 dwelling units. So this is the current dwelling unit requirement of this town. Okay, it comes, please calculate. Please calculate this come dwelling units. Then we multiply this dwelling units into 4.5. Then we'll get the population of the city. Then we'll get the population. Please calculate. This is the right answer. Option 1 is the right answer. Option 1 is the right answer. Yes, you will get the answer.
Correct. Okay, so answer is 1,08,000. Let's move on to the next question. If anyone, okay, 14400. Okay, that is for the number of dwelling units into 4.5 will give you the answer. Let's move on to the next question. Building construction and materials. Building construction and materials. 12 questions have come, and let's have a look. I think Manish sir will be dealing with these questions.
The consistency of a cement is measured by, in the cement there are two major concepts: workability and consistency. If the question has come from the consistency, next time the question will come from the workability. Workability is measured by slum cone test, while consistency is measured by Vicat apparatus. It is a standard question. In the slum cone test, the cement is poured in a cone and then it is inverted. After removing the cone, if the cone is formed like this, then we can say the workability of the cement is good. If the cone remains like this, then also it is not workable, and if the cone breaks apart, that is also not workable. This is the perfect slum cone. So for the workability, the slum cone test is there. For the consistency, the Vicat apparatus, it is the apparatus in which the consistency, like the how the cement after mixing with water, how the cement could be used on site. Okay, universal testing machine test about the compressive strength. Okay, these three major things are related to the construction. Next. This is the example of, see, this is the Vicat apparatus. This is the Vicat apparatus on which you mix. If you admitted into some master's program in construction, you can definitely will use this apparatus. A simply supported slab on with a ratio of longer side to shorter side means the longer side is greater than 2 times of the shorter side. If this one length determines the maximum out of the simply supported slab, then it will become the one-way slab. If it is less than 2 times of breadth, then it will become the two-way slab. Okay. Next. The weep hole term. See, this is weep hole terms. If you have heard of, generally used in the retaining walls. In a hilly area, if suppose this is a slope coming from the top, there is a soil. So if the water beneath the soil is coming, at certain points there are holes are provided in the retaining walls for the water to come out of this part, so that the soil will not always remain saturated with water. These holes are called deep holes. This is also a gate repeated question. Many times it comes in the gate exams. Okay, so second is the right answer. So the gantry gutter is type of in longer construction in which the rail is provided, a longer crane. In a high rise construction, in the gantry gutter, it is this type of machine which has a hook at its end. There are a lot of this precast element is carrying on this. So since it is moving in a horizontal direction, carrying a vertical load also. So it has the lateral, longitudinal as well as the vertical load. All the three gantry gutter is subjected to. This is the diagram of the gantry gutter. See, this is the diagram of the gantry gutter. Since it's moving in rail in parallel direction, it is carrying a vertical load. So it's subjected to lateral, longitudinal as well as vertical load. The strength is usually determined where we use the strength of the soil. We use in the foundation engineering, in the foundation. So what we see, the bearing capacity of the soil, how much stress the soil can take, the soil will not fail. So the answer is the ultimate shear stress. It is also called the bearing capacity of the soil. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. This is a question which you should know. This is a very common question. The mortar joint masonry is normally face of the wall is normally and this is a very common question in construction, which is normally a wall joint. You should have a basic knowledge of masonry construction. Please read about the masonry construction. This is a very common question there.
Let's move to the next question.
The mansard roof is a slope in which, see, mansard roof, or we have seen, might have seen different kinds of roof, like this kind of roof. This is a gable roof in which it has slope in two direction. Then there is a mansard type of roof. Please do next and show them the image. This is the mansard type of roof. Then you have heard of this hipped roof. Hipped roof is, if you draw in Revit architecture, we have seen a four-way roof. This is the hipped roof. A question has come in the gate exam about the hipped roof. So in this, they have asked about the mansard roof. Four direction which breaks into slope on each side. So it is breaking into slope on each side. Then the cold joint. So in the concrete, if suppose certain amount of concrete is poured in an area, then again after some time, if this concrete is settled, then if fresh amount of concrete is poured in this area, so this concrete will not have a clear interaction with this concrete. So a cold joint will form between these two. This is called the cold joint. Okay. So this is the second is the right term. So you can see the example of the cold joint. Okay. This is the common question. It comes in the gate 2016. The flat slab, the load is transferred to. See, what is the flat slab? Normally we are using in the construction the framed structure or framing, in which beam and columns are there. Beams and columns, grids are there. Okay, but in the flat slab system, in order to reduce the beam depth in the slab, the beam is embedded in the slab. So the beam width is increased, depth is reduced, and more wider beam is imbibed in the frame. So this creates a plate action in whole of the slabs in order to support the slabs. So two major impact of this flat slab system is cost of the project is increased. Definitely beam depth is decreased. Sometimes there is no option. People wants a more height, a more clear height under the beam. So in that case, people generally use a flat slab system. Okay, so it supports the plate action. So you can read the load on the slab is directly transferred to the plate action to the column. In conventional beam, the load is transferred from the slab to the beams and then beams to the columns. So there is a slab, then there is a beam. The load is transferred from the slab to the beams in normal way. But in the flat slab system, it is directly transferred to the columns. Okay.
Yeah. So the load is uniform and then it is transferred to the columns. Sure.
And super plasticizer. You have heard of certain admixtures to concrete. So admixtures are sometimes provided to for the ease of workability. Sometimes it is provided to ease the use of construction. So there are different kinds of which is sometimes it is used to increase the workability of the cement. Why to increase the workability? See, to increase the workability, if you introduce a lot of amount of water, if you increase the lot amount of water to the concrete, the workability will definitely increase. But then the strength of the concrete will decrease. Then the strength of concrete will decrease. So in that scenario, the person supervisor will add the super plasticizer. It was also called as a magic powder. In the construction industry is also called as the magic powder. The super plasticizer has some additional positive charges which reduces increases the workability. Since the workability is increased, the water to cement ratio could be decreased. So hence, in this question, it is used for the reducing the water to cement ratio. Since we add the plasticizer. So these are the different examples of admixtures, air entrainers, water reducers, retarders, set accelerators. Air entrainers are usually provided in the concrete to increase the durability, because for further expansion of concrete as well as for freeze and thaw cycle. What is freeze and thaw cycle? Whether if a building is constructed in an area where there is a lot of different temperatures, in winters it is -degree and in summers it is very high degree temperatures. So in that area there is a different expansion within the concrete. So in that area the air internals is being provided. Similarly, there are different kinds of admixtures. You can read about it. So we have provided the list. You will get this list, and please don't remember. This is not very much necessary if you could remember, but please remember. Try to remember these. What does super plasticizer do? Let's move on to the next question. The bulking of the sand. See how we can check from the option. What is bulking? Bulking is the increase in volume. Bulking is the increase in volume. So if the sand is finer, it means more finer sand, more surface area. Surface area is increased on increasing the fineness. If the surface area is increased, the water is surrounding the sand will increase. Okay, on increasing the surface area, this will lead to the bulking of sand. So initially in the construction industry, the sand is kept in open. Then if water flows into the sand, then it will increase the overall volume of the sand. And if we mix as per the volume, then it will lead to the low strength in the concrete. Hence for this term is important, bulking of sand. It is also a gate repeated question. I think you clear, because on increasing of the fineness, the surface area will increase, which will lead to the more water entrapment. Because of that, the volume is increased, and that is bulking of sand. Let's move on to the next question. There is nothing. This is natural granite. You need to remember this is the igneous rock. You can't explain anything about it. You have used, this is a very common. Usually, we can say igneous rock are usually more harder rock, and you have seen in construction, granite is a harder rock than other. Normally, marble is a softer rock. So marble is a sedimentary rock. Okay, but you need to remember this. Few rocks which are used in the construction, which are the igneous rocks.
Okay, now we come to questions from disaster management. So there were 6 questions that we've seen in the 2018 paper. Let's have a look. Who is the chairman of National Disaster Management Authority? So anything that you normally see at national level, most of them are They are headed by the Prime Minister. So here the answer is Prime Minister. Okay. So I think we don't need to go in detail in this. This is basically the chairman as the Prime Minister. Disaster Management Act was enacted in India in which of the following years? So I think if you have you have seen the act, it is 2005. Okay, we also need to remember the years for certain acts. Okay, so that is also something that you should focus on while you're reading the acts. At least see the year the last implemented, the latest version of or whatever policy or act or whatever we have. How many earthquake zones are mapped in India, and which amongst them is the most severe? So India has four seismic zones, and starting with 2 and going up to 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the most severe, and 2 is the least severe.
Usually,
So
the highest severe zone is lies in this belt. In this belt in the Himalayan range, the most severe earthquake, and some part is lying in the Gujarat area, zone 5. And then in the whole country, it's divided like that. So here you could also see the BIS has provided this seismic zone classification. It has also provided us the NBC, which we have seen earlier.
now let's go to the next question. Which one of the following causes seismic irregularities in a building?
So seismic rectangular plan. See, this is a rectangular plan. Rectangular plan, even with a central courtyard, is most stable plan. They're talking about the seismic irregularities. So increase in height has no impact on it because you have seen a lot of skyscraper which has been designed with seismic planning. What is vertical setback? You have heard of this horizontal setback. Vertical setback is nothing but if suppose this is a high building and building is constructed like this. So till this point, the whole building is there, but then at this point, the building is abruptly reduced and the whole of the center of gravity is shifted. So if the building is not segregated by expansion joint or so from this part, if the whole building is an integrated part, then this will create a seismic irregularity in the building, and on the earthquake, there's a chance of the failure of this building if the building is like this. So this part is abruptly reduced. Okay. So this is the in this elevation I'm telling you, don't think of this in plan. This is the ground floor, first floor, second floor, and maybe upper floors. Okay.
Let's move on to the next one. I think this is clear. Okay, let's move to the next question. Prime resultant forces that develop in a structure due to the earthquake depend on. So what are these resultant forces that are depending on? So just now, sir, explain. Yeah.
In the earthquake, there are two important terms: center of rigidity and center of mass or center of gravity. Okay. See, if these two lies at the same point, then it's fine. If it is light in the different direction, and because of the earth, because of the earthquake, if there is a certain difference, you can think of this. If there are two forces, then it may create a couple. Okay, and you have heard of this couple. It will lead to the. It may lead to the failure. So stiffness evolved directly from the center of rigidity, and the mass of the structure determines the center of mass or center of gravity. So 3 option is correct. So you should know some concept of this earthquake. What will lead to the failure of the building?
Okay, let's move to the next question. Which of the following is not a meteorological factor for urban flooding? So the options, you have to focus on not, and also if you look at the options,
because of rainfall, you have seen it in the urban areas. There is a flood in the recent times in the cyclonic storms from the western coast towards the Gujarat and Maharashtra, and even from the Bay of Bengal. You have seen there's a lot of flooding in those areas. Snowfall and snow melt. You have seen in Uttarakhand there is a disaster due to snowfall and snow melting. So only the third option, because the groundwater is below the ground and it will not lead to any impact on flooding of an area.
Okay, so the answer is very evident here. I think this doesn't need more explanation. Let's move on to the next question. History, monuments, and location. There are 3 questions that we have seen in the 2018 paper. These are Rajasthan related questions. Okay, let's have a look. Vijay Stamp is situated in which of these places? Now, any idea about that? What are you answering? Chittor, right. Chittor is the place where the Vijay Stamp is located. I think Jaipur and Jaipur we can easily eliminate, and then the remaining 2, if someone is aware, you can directly go for Chittor, or you can make your decision. Okay, where the Vijay Stamp is. So Vijay Stamp is an imposing. Okay, I think there's no picture right now, but Vijay Stamp is an imposing victory monument located in Chittor Fort. Okay, so that is if you remember this, then you will know that Chittor is the place. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, the picture is here, sorry. Okay, so this is the Vijay Stamp. Now let's move to the next question. City of Rajasthan, which is called the Blue City. I think this is very easy. Jodhpur is a city, and again, if you have Pink City or Golden City, you will know that what are those cities. Okay, so Jodhpur is the Pink City, sorry, Blue City, and we have Pink City, Jaipur, and Jaisalmer as a Golden City. So we can these questions can come. Okay, this is very simple question from Rajasthan. I think everyone would be aware. And let's move to the next question. The city of Rajasthan is known for white cement. Which city is actually known for white cement? Okay, out of these. So here, I think anyone, if someone is aware, then it is an easy question. Otherwise, for someone who is not aware of where the white cement is, you cannot, yeah. So it is not good to make a complete guess here. If you have doubt into 2 of these options, then you can think of it. Okay, so Gotan is the place where which is for white cement, Bhilwara is for textile, and Kota is for ports and palaces. This is something which you should keep in mind if a question comes. For textile, it will be Bhilwara. Okay, let's go to next. Planning. There's one question from planning. Let's see what's that. Planning is mainly planning with Rajasthan related planning question. So here it is, Jaipur Development Authority Act came into force in which year? So this is something you should remember now. The JDA, Jaipur Development Authority, it came in existence in 1982. Okay, this is something which you should remember if you don't know. Next, building bylaws. So I think these are the last couple of questions. Building bylaws, we saw a lot of questions coming from this and 2017 Rajasthan bylaws. And let's see what these questions are. Okay, so as per Unified Building Bylaws 2017 of Rajasthan, the floor area index of the FAR is replaced by which of the following? Okay, so here BAR, right? Someone answered. I think it is the answer is built up area ratio, which is BAR. Okay, so I'll just give the answer directly. The other third and fourth option doesn't really are a good option, but if FSI, someone can get confused with FSI. That is the only thing. Okay, so FAR has been replaced by built up area ratio. Now, next question is, a dashed line usually parallel to the plot boundaries and laid down in each case by the authority, beyond which nothing can be constructed towards the side boundary. Towards the side boundaries is important. We are talking. Okay, so you cannot create something here. What is that? Is the setback line. Okay. I think Manisha, you would like to explain this further?
No, there is no such explanation is required. This is the boundary, and in further areas of setbacks, no construction is permitted. Only you can provide the services and the roads. If you have read the bylaws, it is I think common to the most of the bylaws in the country. So there is a certain setback is provided. This is the most common question. So the setback would only be the option.
Okay. Now let's move to the next question. For a municipal corporation taking initiatives for slum clearance and redevelopment of an area is Okay, this is a little confused. You might be a little confused with this because we have both regulatory and deregulatory here. Obligatory is definitely not an option because it is not, we are not obliged to do this. Okay, slum clearance or redevelopment. Only the decision of municipal corporation for what of these, which of these. Okay, so it's a discretionary function. It is not a regulatory function which has been given. It's up to the municipal corporation and
In certain cities, I would like to add to this. In certain cities, the municipal corporations gives some areas to the builders in order to clear some and develop the high rise, some sort of high rise constructions for slum areas, and they'll get the more land. So in compensation for the construction money, they will get the more land, and the slum people get the good quality of constructed homes. And this happens in Mumbai, Indore, in these areas for clearing the slums.
okay. I think that is enough. And let's move to the next question. As per Unified Building Bylaws, again 17 of Rajasthan, the right of way of 132 kV line is, I think this is common to most of the bylaws, and it is 27 meters here. Would you like to add something, sir?
It's fine. It's fine. There's nothing more to it. It's just a piece of information. If you know it. If you don't know, then you can't
Okay,
do
again,
anything.
you can just strike off the lowest and the highest and then see that, okay, which option makes sense. Okay, let's go to the next question. Slope of ramp for parking and for physically challenged as per the bylaws of Rajasthan should not be more than respectively. This is as same as most of the bylaws have it. Okay, so for parking it is 1:8. For physically challenged people, it is 1:12. Okay, so the answer will be 1:8 and 1:12. I think this is also very common question. Often we see this question in different papers. The gradient. Okay. As per the provisions of the bylaw of Rajasthan, minimum area of land for motel is. Now, this is a question which is not so direct, and maybe you would have a doubt in this. The answer for this is 4,000 square meter. Again, you can just go by the fact that the lowest and the highest value can be striked off. But otherwise, I don't know. If you know aware, then if you're aware, then you should attend this. Otherwise, it's your choice to whether to make an attempt on this. Okay, so motel, and you can just check out all the other areas. Maybe they can ask something similar in the next paper. The bylaws is enacted from date of, what is the date of publication? So I told you that whenever we are looking at bylaws and all, we should always pay attention to the year, because and sometimes the month too here in this case. So we should be knowing when it was published. So this is, the answer is October 2017. So we are always referring to bylaws of Rajasthan 2017, but rather just keep in mind it is October 2017. Okay. As per bylaw 17 again, in high-rise building for movement of fire tender, the minimum width of 3 passages is. Okay. So here the minimum width for tall buildings is usually, we also see 6 meters sometimes, but here the answer is 4 meter, 4.5 meters, sorry. Okay.
Below this, if you don't provide at least this much width of road around the building, you will not get approval from the local body and will not be able to construct.
Yes.
This is the minimum fire tender width you have to provide it as per the building bylaws of Rajasthan.
Rajasthan. Right. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Again, here you can take the middle two option is one of them.
In Delhi, if some person has asked the turning radius in Delhi, for the 6 meter is wide and fire tender is required, and the turning radius of 9 meters is required. So I think proportionality in Jaipur maybe 6 to 7 meter of turning radius may be required. You need to read about the building bylaws of Jaipur.
Right.
Rajasthan.
Rajasthan. And let's move to the next question. Again, according to the bylaw, the minimum area of plot for construction of flats. What is the minimum area of a plot? It is 1,000 square meter. Okay, so again, you can strike off the lowest and the highest value. Okay, here 500, 4,000. Yeah. Okay, so you can take Make a guess here if you want to, but otherwise you should be aware. Like if you're aware, then it's good to attempt this question. Now next, unified again the laws applicable to all urban area of Rajasthan except. Okay, so this bylaw, where is it not applicable? That is the interesting question here. Okay, so this is not applicable in Mount Abu and Jaisalmer. Okay, this is something which you should take care of. Okay, so Mount Abu is a hill station and Jaisalmer also is a lower developed area. So you can say that's why probably our bylaws are different for this. You can say tourist spots as well. Okay, so so we have Jaisalmer and Mount Abu where the bylaws are. Okay, that's all for today. I think we have completed the paper. Thankfully.